Washieu. I'm an incoming sophomore at the Browning School in New York City. And today I'll be talking about my project regarding emotion recognition with the Raspberry Pi. For this project, I utilized machine learning and the Pi camera module with the Raspberry Pi to recognize emotions from a human face. I chose this project in particular because of my interest in machine learning and computer vision, and its interest and its application towards the real world. Before I present to you a sort of like a demo behind my project, I'd just like to acknowledge that my project is much more back-end heavy, meaning that there's much more processes going on in the back rather than going on what you will see in the actual demo. And for speed purposes, I'll be displaying and running the script on my laptop. Because of the Raspberry Pi's limited and compromised CPU, which is much different from the ones that we have in our laptop and desktops, it takes a much longer time to process a machine learning model and to predict a class. And also it made it much easier to predict and show the demo to you guys and if I were to run it on my laptop. So without further ado, if I were to share my screen, Kevin, I need to share screening.
Sorry, got you. It should be allowed.
All right, I got it. On your screen, as you see, I have a demo of the GUI, basically a graphical user interface. And so in this GUI, it takes in a frame from the OpenCV's library, a computer vision library, and basically performs a live video stream. And once I click that red button that says take a picture, it takes in a picture. And then moving on to our script, what I have to do basically, as with many machine learning models, a dataset is necessary. And with this dataset, the images for the human faces were in a 48 by 48 pixel shape, and they were grayscale images. And so because the live video stream had images that were by 300 by 300 and were in the color and RGB format, what I basically had to do was format the image into a 48 by 48 grayscale image so I could pass it on to the machine learning model. And so as you can see here, as I've highlighted in the video, that's basically what I'm doing using OpenCV. And then I pass that image onto the model to predict the class. And then in a different script, I use that function which predicts the emotion, and I return it here to grab a Spotify playlist using the Python random library to basically recommend a Spotify playlist based on someone's emotion. So if we go back to the GUI, if you open in Spotify, you can see that it's opened up a playlist in Spotify that recommends a happy playlist. And the reason why it recommended happy a playlist because it recognized that my emotion was happy when I took the picture. That's basically like a simple demo of my project. There's much more going on back in terms of how the model is predicted. I spent about a few days actually making the model and learning how to basically work with the dataset, which is human facial emotion dataset. And then I basically, as I said in the GUI, I take a picture from the live video stream and pass it on to my model to predict the emotion. I think the most challenging part of this project was especially installing libraries on the Raspberry Pi. The Raspberry Pi runs a Linux distribution on its CPU, which is quite difficult to install many libraries on the Raspberry Pi. With many of my group mates, all of us spent about a day or two just figuring out errors and installing all the necessary libraries that we needed. Overall, I believe that this project allowed me to combine my machine learning skills and my computer vision skills together to deploy a real-world application. When I was interviewing for Bluestamp, one of my main goals was to learn how to deploy a machine learning model, just not from my laptop, but also to other hardware devices. And this project allowed me to basically use a hardware to combine my machine learning and computer vision skills to build a real-world application. Before this, I didn't actually know how to deploy a machine learning model out of just like a simple web application or like on my laptop. And so I believe that's what I gained most from this project. I thank you all for listening to me, and I hope you guys enjoyed the next presentations.